Let me ask you something a little personal. Have you ever gone to bed feeling completely fine, only to wake up the next morning and something just feels off? Maybe your speech feels slower. Maybe your hand doesn't move quite right. Or maybe your balance is off and you brush it off as just getting older. But what if I told you that the thing quietly increasing your risk isn't your age? It's your evening snack. Yes, the one you thought was healthy. As a brain doctor with over 30 years of experience, I've seen it far too often. Strong, vibrant seniors who collapse overnight. Not from smoking, not from lack of exercise, but from something they never suspected: fruit. You heard me right. Certain fruits, when eaten at the wrong time in the wrong amount or paired with the wrong medication, can quietly trigger blood thickening, pressure fluctuations, or even clot formation, leading to a stroke while you sleep. This is not fear-mongering. This is a gentle wake-up call, one that could protect your speech, your balance, even your independence. If you or someone you love is over 60, you need to hear this. And if any of this already sounds familiar, I want you to comment 1 below. If not, leave a 0. I still want to hear your story. Now take a breath, because what I'm about to share could save your life or the life of someone you love. Number 1, the hidden risk in your banana. Why one fruit could trigger a stroke. After 60, can I ask you something personal again? Have you ever started your day with something you believed was good for your heart, only to realize later it may have been quietly hurting your brain? Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood fruits in the American kitchen, the banana. Soft, sweet, convenient. It seems like the perfect breakfast choice. But for people over the age of 60, especially those taking heart or blood pressure medications, bananas may not be the harmless snack we once thought. Let me tell you a story that still haunts me. Mr. Raymond Mitchell, a 66-year-old retired carpenter from Ohio, walked into my office 2 years ago. Strong hands, clear speech, proud of his morning routine. Every day he sliced a banana over his oatmeal, took his blood pressure pill, and sipped on a small glass of orange juice. Simple, familiar, harmless, right? Until the morning his wife found him collapsed on the bathroom floor. His speech was slurred, his left side was limp. At the hospital, the CT scan confirmed it, a small but devastating ischemic stroke. And the blood tests, his potassium level was dangerously high, nearly double what it should have been for someone his age and medication profile. That banana, combined with his ACE inhibitor medication, had created a perfect storm inside his blood vessels. You see, as we get older, our kidneys slow down. They don't filter as quickly or as thoroughly as they did in our 40s. That means minerals like potassium, which are usually flushed out with ease, begin to accumulate. And bananas are loaded with potassium, about 450 milligrams per large piece. Now, for a healthy young adult, that's a good thing. But for an older person whose kidneys are slowing and whose blood pressure meds may already affect how the body handles electrolytes, that much potassium, all at once, is like sending an electrical jolt to your heart. Your rhythm falters, your arteries tighten, and in your brain, where vessels are already fragile, that instability can turn into a clot. Do you see yourself or a loved one in this story? Have you ever eaten 2 bananas in a day without thinking twice? Let me be clear. I am not saying you should fear fruit, but you should understand it, especially as your body changes. And for seniors, bananas must be treated with more respect than most realize. So here's what I tell my patients. If you are over 60 and on medications for your heart or blood pressure, limit yourself to 1/2 of a banana a day. Always eat it in the morning, never at night. And pair it with a source of protein, like a few almonds or a spoon of Greek yogurt, to slow the potassium absorption. Avoid banana smoothies, banana bread, or doubling up in one sitting. And most importantly, ask your doctor how potassium-rich foods interact with your medication. Because stroke prevention isn't just about avoiding fried food or staying active. It's about understanding how your body behaves at this stage of life. Your brain doesn't need surprises, it needs stability. And even a fruit as innocent as a banana without the full picture can become a silent disruptor. So the next time you see a banana on your breakfast table, remember Raymond. And remember this: the same food that nourished you at 30 may need adjustment after 60. Your body is wiser now, so your habits must be too. Number 2, grapes, the sweetest danger to your brain's blood vessels. Let me paint you a picture. You're sitting at the table reading the morning paper. The sun is peeking through the window. You reach for a small bunch of grapes, cold, sweet, and satisfying. You're doing the right thing, right? You've given up cookies, you don't touch soda anymore, and fruit is always a good choice, isn't it? That's what Mrs. Jeanette Morris believed. 80 years old, retired school teacher from Missouri. She lived clean, never smoked, walked every evening. Her favorite snack? A full bowl of red seedless grapes right after breakfast. Then one afternoon, while writing a birthday card, she couldn't remember how to spell the word congratulations. Her vision blurred, her hand trembled. Her daughter rushed her to the ER. Diagnosis: a transient ischemic attack, a mini stroke. And the cause wasn't high blood pressure, wasn't clogged arteries. It was chronic vascular inflammation caused by sugar surges coming from her beloved grapes. Let me explain. Grapes may look small and innocent, but they pack a concentrated punch of natural sugar, especially the extra sweet seedless kinds you find in American supermarkets. Just 1 cup can contain more than 23 grams of sugar. That's nearly the same as 2 glazed donuts, except it doesn't feel like dessert because it's fruit. But your body, especially over 60, doesn't care about the label. As we age, our insulin response weakens. Our blood vessels grow more fragile. And those sharp rises in sugar, they create invisible wounds inside the walls of your arteries. Wounds that swell, harden, and in time, rupture. That's where blood clots begin. This is how a stroke can begin. Not with a fall, but with a fruit. Do you eat grapes on an empty stomach? Do you snack on them while feeling stressed, tired, or dehydrated? If so, your brain could be building up silent damage, day by day, bite by bite. You won't feel it, you won't see it, until one day you forget a name, lose your balance, or wake up and something is missing. Here's what I now tell all my patients. Never eat grapes by the bowl, never eat them on an empty stomach, and never eat them at night. If you must, limit yourself to 1 handful. Eat them alongside protein, some almonds, a slice of cheese, to slow down the sugar rush. And if you are diabetic or on blood pressure medications, I suggest skipping grapes entirely unless your doctor tells you otherwise, because sometimes the most dangerous foods are the ones that look the most innocent. Stroke doesn't wait for us to realize our mistakes. It strikes when we least expect it, especially when the brain is inflamed, blood is thick, and vessels are weak. Grapes are not evil, but they are powerful. And power, when misunderstood, can harm. So the next time you reach for grapes, pause and ask yourself, is this nourishing me or sneaking behind my brain's defenses? Because sweet doesn't always mean safe. And when you're over 60, safety comes first. Number 3, pineapple, the acid, the enzyme, and the sweet risk that strikes while you sleep. Let me ask you something. Do you ever end your dinner with something that feels like a reward? A few slices of pineapple. It's light, it's sweet, it's natural, and it feels like the healthiest way to treat yourself at the end of the day. Many of my older patients think so too, but what they do not realize is that pineapple is not just a fruit. It is a chemical experience. And in the aging body, especially after dark, it can quietly set off a chain reaction that puts the brain at risk. Let me explain how. First, pineapple is loaded with sugar. One single cup contains over 16 grams of natural sugar. That is like swallowing more than 3 teaspoons of white sugar in one sitting. Now, add in the fact that pineapple has a high glycemic index, which means it spikes blood sugar very quickly. And as we know, rapid spikes in blood sugar increase inflammation inside the arteries, especially in the brain. But there is more. Pineapple contains a powerful enzyme called bromelain. Bromelain breaks down protein and can affect how your body forms or dissolves clots. In small amounts, it may help digestion. But in the evening, when combined with certain medications, bromelain can thin the blood too much or interfere with your body's normal clotting ability. That balance is delicate in people over 60, especially for those already taking blood thinners, aspirin, or certain heart medications. Now, add one final detail. Pineapple is acidic, very acidic. And in older adults, acid reflux becomes more common, even without obvious symptoms. This is what we call silent reflux. You do not feel the burn, but the acid travels upward in the night. It irritates your airway. It disrupts your breathing pattern. And yes, it reduces oxygen flow to your brain while you sleep. Let me tell you a story I will never forget. Mrs. Clara Hughes, 77 years old, retired choir director from North Carolina. She was vibrant, active, and passionate about healthy eating. She had replaced her nightly desserts with fresh pineapple, believing it was a smarter choice. For over a year, this became her nightly ritual. But then one morning, she woke up confused. Her words were slurred. She could not stand without swaying. At the hospital, scans showed she had suffered a small stroke in the back of her brain, the part that controls balance and coordination. Her blood sugar had spiked overnight, her blood platelets were out of range, and her airway showed signs of reflux irritation. Her routine, which seemed so healthy, had quietly tipped her body into a perfect storm. Pineapple, sugar, acid, enzymes, and the vulnerable brain of a woman in her 70s. If this story makes you pause, it should, because even something that feels good can do harm when the body's defenses are low. So here's my advice. If you enjoy pineapple, eat it earlier in the day. Never eat it right before bed. Avoid it if you take blood thinners unless your doctor approves, and never eat it on an empty stomach. Your brain needs calm during sleep. Not spikes, not acids, and not surprises. And sometimes the biggest surprise is what we thought was helping us was actually pushing us closer to danger. Number 4, watermelon. The dehydrating danger hidden in a juicy bite. Have you ever felt lightheaded getting out of bed? Like the room was spinning? Like your knees weren't quite under you? Like your brain hadn't caught up with your body? You might think it was just age or sleepiness or maybe low blood sugar, but what if I told you it might actually be dehydration? And what if I told you that watermelon, the fruit most people think of as hydrating, might quietly be the cause? It sounds strange, doesn't it? But in my 30 years as a brain doctor, I have seen more than a few cases where people thought they were doing the right thing, and it turned out to be exactly the opposite. Let me introduce you to Mr. Howard Larkin, 82 years old, retired postal worker from Indiana. Strong man, walked daily, ate clean, no added sugar. His favorite post-dinner snack? Watermelon, 2 or 3 thick slices, every night. He called it his way of keeping the pipes clean. But one morning, Mr. Larkin stood up from bed and collapsed. He could not keep his balance. His vision darkened. He could not speak clearly. At the hospital, his blood pressure was dangerously low. His blood was thicker than normal. And scans showed he had suffered a small stroke during the night. How? His doctor and I looked at his medications. He was on a low-dose diuretic for mild heart failure, and then we looked at his diet and realized that watermelon was playing a bigger role than anyone expected. You see, watermelon is 90% water, but it also acts as a natural diuretic, making you urinate more, and especially if eaten in large quantities. For a younger body, that's manageable. But for someone in their 70s or 80s, especially if they're already on medications that flush water from the body, watermelon can quietly cause overnight dehydration. And here's why that matters. When the body becomes dehydrated, blood volume decreases. The blood becomes thicker, like syrup instead of water. It flows more slowly, it clots more easily, and in the brain, that kind of thickened blood can lodge in a narrow vessel and cut off oxygen, causing a stroke. Even a small stroke in the wrong place can take away your balance, your memory, your independence. The scariest part, you might feel fine the night before. Just a little tired, a little dry in the mouth. You might chalk it up to age or weather, but by morning, the damage is already done. So let me ask you something. Do you eat watermelon late in the day? Do you find yourself waking up thirsty, dizzy, or confused? Have you ever had cramps in the night or trouble standing up in the morning? If yes, your body may be signaling that it is running low on fluid and that blood flow to the brain is no longer smooth and stable. So here's what I advise my patients. Watermelon is not the enemy, but timing matters. If you love it, eat it earlier in the day when your body is more active and your kidneys are better able to manage the fluid shift. Never eat large amounts at night. If you're on diuretics, talk to your doctor about how watermelon may interact with your medications, and always hydrate wisely with a pinch of salt or electrolyte water to help your body actually retain the fluids it needs, because your brain doesn't just need water, it needs balance. And balance is what keeps the blood flowing, the mind clear, and the body standing tall. Number 5, orange juice and stroke, a hidden interaction most seniors don't know about. Can I ask you something? Do you start your day with a glass of orange juice? Maybe it's something you've done for years. It feels like sunshine in a cup. A bright, healthy way to begin the morning. But here's the part most people over 60 have never been told. That orange juice, especially when taken with heart or blood pressure medications, could be quietly interfering with your body's ability to process those drugs. And in the long run, that interference can lead to dangerous shifts in blood pressure, clotting, and yes, stroke. Let me share a real story. Mr. Elmer Bryant, 79 years old, a retired bus driver from Georgia, a kind man with a quiet voice. He was on 2 common medications, one for blood pressure and another for cholesterol. Every morning, like clockwork, he'd take his pills with a tall glass of fresh squeezed orange juice. He'd been doing this for nearly a decade. But then, over a few weeks, he began to feel dizzy when he stood up. Sometimes he'd feel lightheaded while walking from the living room to the kitchen. One morning, he collapsed getting out of his recliner. At the hospital, scans revealed a mild ischemic stroke. But the lab work? That's what gave us the full picture. His medications weren't being broken down properly. Instead of being metabolized safely, they had built up in his bloodstream. Why? Because citrus fruits, especially oranges and grapefruits, contain a natural compound called furanocoumarin. This compound blocks an important enzyme in the liver that helps break down many medications. It's called the cytochrome P450 system. When that system gets blocked, your body can either hold on to too much medication or flush it out too fast. Either way, the balance is gone. And in older adults whose systems are already slower and more fragile, that kind of imbalance can be dangerous, even deadly. Now think about this. How many older adults drink orange juice with their pills? How many believe they're helping their body when they might be quietly setting it up for trouble? Do you know someone like that? Is it someone in your family, Is it you? This is why I now tell my patients, if you take medications, especially for blood pressure, heart rhythm, or cholesterol, avoid drinking full glasses of orange juice. Instead, have just a splash. Or switch to water, herbal tea, or a small citrus wedge squeezed into warm water. And always talk to your doctor before combining any citrus product with your prescription drugs, because this isn't about fear. It's about understanding how even natural things can act like medicine, and how medicine mixed wrong can act like poison. Mr. Bryant survived, but he now takes his pills with warm water, not juice. And he hasn't had another dizzy spell since. Remember this, your brain isn't just affected by what you eat. It's affected by when, how, and what it's mixed with. And the quietest mistakes can become the biggest turning points. Number 6, apples, the hidden sugar trap that could mislead your brain. Let me ask you something from the heart. Have you ever believed that eating an apple a day would keep the doctor away? That phrase has become so deeply woven into our culture, it's practically gospel. And for most of our lives, it's been true. But after 60, the same apple can behave very differently inside your body, especially if you're eating the wrong kind, at the wrong time, or on an empty stomach. Let me tell you the story of Mrs. Louise Hammond. 81 years old, she had never been hospitalized in her life. Walked every morning, took her blood pressure meds on time, and prided herself on clean eating. Her afternoon ritual, one large Honeycrisp apple, sliced neatly, skin on. She believed it was a much better choice than any cookie or snack, and to her credit, it was until it wasn't. Over time, Louise started noticing something odd. Around 5 in the evening, she would feel lightheaded. Her vision would blur slightly. Sometimes she'd forget where she left her glasses or lose track of what she was saying. One evening, while preparing dinner, her speech slurred, and she couldn't lift her right hand. She had suffered a mild stroke. And when we reviewed her lab results and diet log, a clear pattern emerged. Her blood sugar spiked sharply each afternoon, right after that seemingly innocent apple. Here's the truth most seniors don't know. Many of the apples in American grocery stores today, especially varieties like Fuji, Gala, and Honeycrisp, are bred for maximum sweetness, not nutrition. They contain a high glycemic load. That means they hit your bloodstream fast, like a sugar bomb wrapped in a thin skin. For someone under 40, that's manageable. But after 60, when insulin sensitivity drops, blood vessels stiffen, and medications are in the mix, that sugar surge can do more harm than good. It raises blood pressure, triggers inflammation inside delicate brain vessels, and over time creates microscopic damage that your body patches with blood clots. And those clots, they are what cause strokes, quietly, silently, suddenly. Have you ever eaten a sweet apple alone with nothing else in your stomach? Have you ever noticed your energy crash an hour later? That's not your imagination. That's your body trying to recover from a rapid glucose swing. So here's what I advise. If you enjoy apples, and I hope you do, choose Granny Smith apples. They are more tart, contain less sugar, and are higher in polyphenols, compounds that protect brain cells, and never eat apples on an empty stomach. Instead, pair them with something high in protein or fat, a slice of cheese, a spoonful of peanut or almond butter. This combination slows the absorption of sugar, protects your blood vessels, and gives your brain steady fuel, not a roller coaster. And please avoid drinking apple juice. It is stripped of fiber, overloaded with sugar, and can spike your blood sugar even faster than soda. Louise recovered well, but she now treats apples with wisdom, not assumption, because food is not just food anymore. After 60, food is medicine, or it's not. And what used to be a symbol of health could quietly become a reason you end up in a hospital bed. Number 7, cherries. The beautiful fruit that could quietly thin your blood too much. Let me ask you something simple. Have you ever eaten a bowl of cherries and thought to yourself, finally, something sweet I don't have to feel guilty about? They're natural. They're beautiful. They're loaded with antioxidants. Even many health magazines call them nature's aspirin. And that's where the story begins. Because just like aspirin, cherries contain a compound called salicylates. These salicylates act as natural blood thinners. For someone who is young and healthy, that might be helpful, even protective. But for someone over 60, especially someone already taking medications like aspirin, Plavix, or warfarin, it can be too much. Let me tell you about Mr. Daniel Rhodes, 84 years old. A retired train conductor from Illinois. He had a mild heart attack 5 years earlier. His cardiologist put him on a low-dose aspirin. He also took a statin and a calcium channel blocker. Every night after dinner, he would eat a small bowl of cherries. Just 15 or 20. He called it nature's dessert. He'd read online that cherries reduced inflammation, helped arthritis, and supported heart health. And it's true, they do. But here's what he didn't know. The salicylates in those cherries, layered on top of his aspirin and his prescription medications, quietly tipped the balance in his blood. Over time, his blood got too thin. His vessels became fragile. And one morning, he woke up confused and vomiting. His wife rushed him to the hospital. A brain scan revealed a small but dangerous hemorrhagic stroke, a bleed inside the brain. Not a clot, not from blocked flow, but from blood that had become too thin and found a weak spot in a tiny vessel in his brain. That bleed took away part of his speech. It affected his balance, and it changed his life in ways no one saw coming. He hadn't done anything wrong, but he, like many, didn't realize that even natural foods like cherries can act like medicine, and that sometimes medicine on top of medicine becomes a silent danger. Let me ask you again. Do you eat cherries regularly? Are you on blood thinners? Have you ever combined them without thinking twice? Here's what I tell all my patients. If you're taking aspirin or any prescription blood thinner, treat cherries with the same respect you'd give your medications. A few cherries once in a while are fine, but avoid cherry concentrate, cherry juice, or large portions, especially at night. Never assume that natural means harmless, because for the aging brain, even a small bleed in the wrong spot can rob you of language, movement, or memory. Mr. Rhodes survived. But every day, he carries a reminder in his voice, slightly slower now, and his gait, just a little less steady. I don't tell his story to scare you. I tell it so you can be informed, so you can ask the right questions, so you can take care of your brain like it takes care of you, quietly, faithfully, every single day. Number 8, strawberries, a sweet red fruit with a toxic shadow. Have you ever picked up a box of strawberries and thought, this must be the healthiest fruit on the shelf? It looks innocent, bright red, sweet, tangy, perfect. But what most seniors don't know is that strawberries top the list of fruits most contaminated by pesticides. According to the Environmental Working Group, for years now, strawberries have ranked number 1 on the Dirty Dozen list, a ranking of produce with the highest pesticide residue even after washing. And for older adults whose detox systems have slowed down, those pesticides don't just wash away, they stay. They build up in your tissues, including your brain, and over time, they can silently inflame your nerves, weaken your vessel walls, and increase oxidative stress. Add to that one more issue. Strawberries are rich in purines. For people with a history of gout or kidney issues, purines break down into uric acid, and excess uric acid is linked to vascular inflammation, one of the triggers for clot formation in the brain. Let me keep this simple. If you love strawberries, make sure they're organic. Eat them only a few times per week and avoid frozen or imported varieties in smoothies. Those often come from countries with looser regulations because even a fruit that looks like a heart can sometimes hurt the very organ it resembles. Number 9, mango, the tropical treat that might not treat you kindly after 60. Mango. Soft, sweet, golden. It feels like a tropical hug, smooth and comforting. But here's the truth no one tells you. One single cup of ripe mango contains nearly 45 grams of natural sugar. That's more than a glazed donut. And in an older body, especially one managing diabetes or blood pressure, that sugar spike can lead to inflammation, pressure drops, and even clot formation in fragile brain vessels. But sugar isn't the only concern. Mango also contains compounds that slow down your liver's ability to process medications, especially meds used for heart rhythm, cholesterol, or blood pressure. If your medications build up, you may feel dizzy, weak, or worse, suffer a silent stroke in your sleep. Without warning, Mr. William Booker, 83, thought dried mango slices were a healthy alternative to cookies, until one morning his blood pressure dropped too low and he collapsed in the hallway. Blood tests showed his medication levels were too high because the mango had quietly blocked his liver from clearing them. So here's what you need to know. If you love mango, enjoy a few small slices earlier in the day. Never before bed, never with medication, and never dried mango, which is even more concentrated, because even the sweetest things can turn against you when your body is no longer 20. If you've made it to this point, I want to say this. You're not just a viewer. You're someone who cares deeply about your health, and that takes courage. Today we talked about fruit, sweet, familiar, and often trusted. But after 60, your body changes. Your brain becomes more sensitive, and what once healed you may now need to be handled with more care. This is not about fear. It's about wisdom. It's about seeing food not just as flavor, but as a daily decision that protects your mind, your balance, your independence. So here's what I ask of you. Look at your plate with new eyes. Think about how your morning banana, your evening bowl of grapes, or your bedtime pineapple may be affecting your brain. And take one small action today. Maybe you swap your fruit to the morning. Maybe you ask your doctor a question you never thought to ask. Small shifts now can prevent heartbreak later. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, comment 0. I still want to learn from your experience. And before you go, if you're still wondering, what's the one food I should absolutely avoid before bed to protect my brain? Then I invite you to watch this next video. Over 60, this food raises stroke risk overnight. It might surprise you, and it might just save your life, because here at Dr. Brain, we don't just treat symptoms. We protect what matters most. Your memories, your words, your future. Stay safe, stay curious, and stay sharp.